Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Breaking Butterfly podcast. Today I am with a guest that I literally don't know how I haven't had on sooner. I was like confused. I messaged her and I said, "Have I had you on the podcast?" And she was like, "No." What? How? I don't know. But it's better late than never. I am so excited. I have Miss Ellisa here, and she is someone that I've known for years now. Like we can say years,
Mhm.
plural. And I'm like so honored to know her, like truly as a friend. And she's also been a client of mine. She's come on a retreat with me. So we've been able to spend, yeah, quality time together in person a couple times. And I'm just so grateful for truly the inspiration she brings to me. And she's also the resident Gene Keys reader in my mentorship for entrepreneurs. And so, yeah, meet Ellisa. Hello, welcome to the podcast. And yeah, can you just tell everyone a little bit about you, a little intro?
Yes, thank you so much, Maddie. It's honestly such an honor. I just love you so much. And my name is Alyssa. I live in San Diego, California with my boyfriend of 10 years and our little weenie dog named Peanut. And I have a business. I am a Gene Keys expert for spiritual entrepreneurs. And I also work a 9 to 5 that I am literally obsessed with. And I've been with the same company for 10 years. And my life before I really found this like deep alignment and just like truly feeling fulfilled in all parts of my life was very different. Like it looked very different. And so I just really want to be an example and I guess like an inspiration to people that we can live these very full lives once we really learn like who we are and we understand our shadows and how to work through them, how to alchemize them, which we'll get into. Um, but yeah, it's just so crazy. Like I just feel so deeply fulfilled and just so happy that I get to be in your world. I'm also so inspired by you. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for being here. And I think that's where we should start. You know, you mentioned that like your life did not look the way it does now, obviously. There is a journey here. Can we take it back? Can you tell us like where
Yeah.
your life was, you know, how many years, what, 5 years ago? Or give us a timeline. Give us a
Yeah.
timeline, kind of starting at like where you were out of alignment. Let's go through that journey of really what brought you to where you are now. Because seriously, guys, like Alyssa said, like I mean, and she's genuinely just one of the most like positive people I know. She's just so positive. She has such a full life in every capacity. And she has so much capacity to be able to hold all of that from the business and the job and the relationship and little Peanut and just
Mhm.
the way that you experience life, even just in the little moments, the little things, I think is just so different than how a lot of people are experiencing their lives. So take us back.
Mhm.
Where
Yes.
where did we come from?
Okay, yes. So I feel like it'd be super important too to just know also I'm a 2-4 generator. And I'll just take you guys back to just a glimpse of my childhood because I feel like a lot of us, when we're first born, we are pretty much aligned with our soul, right? Like we are who we are. And then from like 0 to 7, we start to really get conditioned by our families, by society, by religion, by just all of these different things. And I genuinely had a really good childhood. Like I am so blessed and so lucky just to have like very loving parents. I was involved in everything like sports, Girl Scouts. I just feel like I lived a very full life. And for me, and this is so crazy because you wouldn't think that this would like completely kind of like change the trajectory of someone's life. But in 8th grade, my dad, we moved from Colorado, the Midwest, to San Diego, California for my dad's job. And my mom told me, which is just so crazy to this day. She's like, "Oh, Alyssa, like, don't tell any of your friends at school that we're moving because if you tell them, like, they're gonna want to stop like hanging out with you. Like, they're gonna try to like look for new friends to like replace you." And so, Maddie, I left that school year like saying bye to everyone, not telling them that I was never coming back, and it was honestly one of like the most traumatic things that happened to me, especially
Yeah.
because such a huge part of my design is friendship, which is like so crazy. And I later in life have realized this. So I moved cross country and I was kind of this like weird like Midwest girl, like like now coming to the West Coast, I feel like I just like really didn't fit in. And again, like friendship being so important to me, I have a line 4 in my radiant sphere, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But essentially, like the things that really keep me healthy, like physically, emotionally, spiritually, is friendship. And it's
Mm,
having these like deep connections with people. And so coming from, growing up with the same kids, like having like the funnest like sleepovers, being like knowing their families, being so involved with all of my friends, to now like having no one and just feeling so isolated. I This is where I really started to like literally question myself. And so I just kind of like started making friends with whoever I could, just like kind of like fitting in. And it just like, it was just so weird. Like it was so destabilizing for me. And
yeah.
so, yes. And so the only thing that really made me feel better is, I think it was in around like either eighth grade or ninth grade is when I started drinking alcohol. So my family had like a very like normal relationship to alcohol. I mean, I guess we can say that's like subjective, but my parents would drink like occasionally, like they would have friends over and it was very social. So it was like very fun. It was like, oh, we're gonna have drinks and like talk and have fun. And I never saw more of like the negative impacts of alcohol. Like I never saw like alcoholism. I never saw like what it could lead to. And so when I first started drinking, obviously this was like against my parents' will, but they weren't the kind of parents that were like, yeah, you can drink. Like, no, this is
Yeah.
like secretive. I just like, it unlocked something in me, Maddie, where I finally felt so cool again, like how I used to feel in my childhood, like in my friendships, just like literally so confident, so like I could just be myself, I could say whatever. And so I, from like 14, let's say, until 25, really relied on alcohol in every social situation. And so it was like, it was involved in everything, like in my relationships, dating, friendships. It was like everything that I did. And I also quickly realized that like I don't have a normal relationship to alcohol. So like all of my other friends could like drink and then like go to school the next day and be fine. For me, it was like, girl, I want more. Like it was like I could not just have one. I'm like, I love this. Like I'm always the one that wants to go harder, longer, like what else is there to do? And so I really started neglecting the two part of my profile in human design, which is like the hermit really needs alone time to like recharge, to be by ourselves, to have that spaciousness. But I was so out of alignment that I was like, I want to be with people. Like I could not even like fathom being alone with my own thoughts. I just always wanted to go out, like even if I was sick or like knew that I had work the next day. I'm like, oh, let's just like never go to sleep and just like keep going.
Yeah.
And so like it was really fun. Like there were so many fun times, but then it just really started getting to a point where like it started affecting me really bad, like with my health. So I was always going to school. Like when I graduated high school, I was going to community college, I was taking classes, I was working full time, like different jobs. I was working like multiple jobs. So it was never like I was just like, I don't know, like when we get this idea of someone who's like an alcoholic or someone who's just like they're just in their house drinking, like, or on the side of the road, like I don't know, the
Yeah.
thoughts that we get when we think it's really bad. Like I was still living a completely functional normal life, and like I was the only one that knew internally like I have crippling anxiety, like horrible panic attacks. I developed really bad social anxiety because I never developed the skills like in adolescence of how to have relationships with people, of how to talk to people, like even everything down from like even like having sex. Like I never had sex sober until later in life, and like I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and yeah, it's crazy when you, like you're saying, like it's not like people are going to pull you in for an intervention. It's not like you were going off the rails, but like internally you
Right.
know something is off. And I feel like that's such a interesting experience. And even what you're saying around like, alcohol was kind of normalized. Like you didn't see these experiences of what it looks like when it's like so bad that sometimes you walk that path so long and don't realize anything is wrong until you wake up one day and you're like, wait, right? Like you didn't even realize in that moment. And like one of my friends, we were talking about addiction once, and she had overcome addiction, and she was like, it's fun, and then it's fun with problems, and then it's just problems. And so you like go through this thing where it's like, yeah, you have so many fun moments and then it's fun, but you have problems. You have the hangovers, you have this, you're not showing up fully, you have the anxiety. And then it gets to a point where it's just not even fun anymore. It's just problems. And then you're like, you have to wake up to that and realize how out of alignment you are.
Yes, like literally exactly that. Like it
Yeah.
was so fun for me, and then I started having like really bad. I started getting into trouble, just having like a lot of like yeah consequences. I was arrested I think with my third DUI by the time that I was 23, and these stories are so crazy because it was only one time that I was like actually like drinking and driving over the limit that like I really was doing that and it caused it. The third time was just like such a crazy story where so I think this was literally divinely guided from God. Like this was my like really big wake up call. So I was dating my boyfriend who he was also like a drug dealer and he would use my car and like my phone to go just like live his life. And I was living with my mom at the time and I would just literally be like in my room like waiting to see like, oh, like when is he going to come back and get me to take me to work, like, and just feeling literally, Maddie, like the most depressed, like anxious, sad, like insecure, jealous, just all of the things you could feel.
Yeah.
And it was literally horrible. So one day we like went to a party and it was like I think 6 a.m. we were like leaving the party and he was driving and I was sitting behind him and like we were arguing. It was like super bad. And I think I was like kicking the back of the seat and just like having like a literal meltdown, like super drunk. So he turns around to be like, stop. And a bus is coming on to merge into our lane on the freeway. And so I'm like, oh my God, look, like a bus is coming. So he looks like, does like this to the steering wheel. We end up like spinning out and crashing on the freeway into the median.
Oh my
We
gosh.
didn't hit anyone else. It was just like our own car. And so I'm like getting out of the car, like my face is like bleeding because like I hit the seat because I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. And he's just like yelling at me, like just like he's like, this is your fault, like oh my God, like you're so crazy. Which yeah, looking back in hindsight, like I was literally acting crazy. But we had called, like we were so close to getting back to my mom's house, like 2 miles away. So we called my mom for her to come pick us up. We had she had AAA come. The car was already loaded onto the car. I was in my mom's car and then the cops came and they're like, oh, we got a call that like there was like a disturbance. And at this point my ex-boyfriend was like not super intoxicated. He would do like more like coke and like smoke. So he
Yeah.
was like not as obviously intoxicated as me, like I was drinking. And he was like, this is all your fault, you pulled the wheel. And so he said I got up and pulled the fucking wheel. And I was so drunk and I was so like I love this person so much, but he was just like the reason we were fighting is because he was like I think he was like cheating on me at the party. It was like
Yeah.
something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, of course, it's all my fault. I did that, like sarcastically saying that. And so the cop was like, and I was the one that looked very distraught, like crying, I look a mess. He just looks like he's composed. He was on probation. So he did not want to have like any problems. And so, yeah, he blamed it on me. And the cop was like, oh, like, let me talk to you. And then I was just like distraught. I'm like, yeah, it's always my fault. It's always my fault. Kind of like what happened with that. Do you know who I'm talking about? Oh, what's her name? The girl where her boyfriend
I
killed
don't
her. Do you know who I'm talking
know.
about? Abby. Okay, well, there is this story of
I'm
this.
surprised I don't know. I usually know these stories. I just watched the crash, but that was like the other way around. Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know if I know this one.
So basically, just really quickly, this girl, this couple was like traveling, and like she was like a YouTuber. Her boyfriend was abusive, and the cops pulled them over, and she was like very distraught. He was like very chill, but he was the abusive one, and like
I know
they
who you're talking
blamed
about.
her. Yes. Okay, so literally chills when I saw that. I was like, I was in the exact same situation. So they end up arresting me, taking me in for a DUI. The other cop, as a courtesy, drives my boyfriend back off the freeway so that he like took his little skateboard and skated back to that house to go with my friend to like keep cheating on me.
Oh my God. And it's
Also,
so crazy seeing your life now. Like this doesn't even sound like your life. Like you can probably feel Melissa's energy. And if like you know her, like this is crazy that this was even your life and like shows you how out of alignment it was because it doesn't even feel like you. Some people you hear a crazy
yes,
story, you're like, okay, that makes sense that that happened in your teenage years. For you, I'm like, this sounds like someone I don't even know. Like that's
yes,
crazy.
literally. And so my mom was like, hey, like he has my daughter's phone. Like, can you guys get her phone back from him? And they just were like ignoring her. And so it was so horrible. So she ended like bailing me out. And then I had like really bad like whiplash. Like I had to go to the emergency room. Anyways, I hired a lawyer and it did get dismissed because like they like obviously investigated and like, okay, yeah, like we believe you. But the craziest thing is like the cops body cam footage was for some reason just like not working that day. And then but because like there's this thing with the DMV in California where like if you do get arrested with a DUI, you have 10 days to kind of like state your case and like
Yeah.
otherwise they do revoke your license for a year. So they revoked my license for a year, even though criminally, like it was dismissed. But my car was totaled. And so now because my car was totaled and like obviously like this was like a really like put a wedge between me and my ex at the time. Now he really didn't have anything to use me for anymore, right? Like he
Yeah.
doesn't have a car, he doesn't have my phone. So I feel like that all really was this like kind of like divine thing to happen to where like, oh, that almost like needed to happen to separate us because if they would have took him in, like I feel like he would have reached out for me to like bail him out or whatever. So it kind of like created this like hatred that I needed against him to separate
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. And sometimes you literally need that. You need like almost rock bottom to like change things. Because again, like we were saying, like you don't realize how bad things are sometimes when you're in the moment until you have something like this and you're like, oh, okay. Like, not that that was like fully rock bottom, but you hit a level where you're like, no, something needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
S-
Yes.
So what happened then?
We basically like the only way that I could get away from this relationship because I also don't want to just like really paint him as a monster. This was like the first person that I started like this was like my first love, like when it was love, like very young. We were
Yeah.
together for like 7 years off and on. I also am not like innocent in this, right? Like I'm also had like very like a lot of my shadows in the gene keys like used to be very like from that ages of like 8 to 14, 14 to 21, like very strong the shadows, like agitation, like just like anger. And it's because I was so misaligned with like the wrong, the wrong person doing the wrong things that I was just very reactive. And
Yeah.
so I was, you know,
Can we take a pause and can you
yeah.
describe a little bit more about like the shadow in the city and like what that actually means and looks like? Because you've been like
Yes.
touching on it here and there, but I want people to know what the gene keys are and what it means to be like in alignment, out of alignment, and all of those things.
Yes, yes, yes. So we all have basically a map to our hero's journey, which is so iconic because we're all going to experience very similar things in life, right? Like we're all going to go on this path to discover like who am I? Like what is my bigger purpose here? Like what am I supposed to really be doing with my life? And then we all also like are going to fall in love and have heartbreak and have to learn how to navigate these like relationships and learn how to open our heart back up even after, it's been closed off from these like things that happen. And then there's also this chance for us to once we kind of alchemize all of that and really I don't want to say like fully heal because it's not like we're like on this never ending like healing journey, but once we really do alchemize these things and really learn how to step into our gifts, then we kind of go off into the world and we exchange our gifts for of service to other people, for abundance, prosperity, opportunities. So all of these things that are like kind of dark and like feel like, when am I ever going to get through this? They aren't in vain. Like they all serve a purpose for us because now we're the most equipped to know, like, girl, I know. Like when my clients tell me something about relationships, I know. And
Yeah.
I just have that like inner wisdom to be like, it can look completely different. So it makes us like the hard things that we go through in our shadows really do make us the most equipped to teach other people.
Yeah. And yeah, and from my understanding, like there's both sides of the coin, right? So it's like you have your certain gene keys, and within that gene key, I mean, it's very similar to just like being in a wounded masculine or a divine masculine, wounded feminine, divine, or even like with astrology, right? Like as an Aries, there's like negative attributes that are like go with being an Aries, right? Like, oh, you're very angry, you're very stubborn. But then there's also the other side of that where it's like, but that makes you like passionate and like you care a lot and you have like a lot of, that like zest for like life. So it's
Yeah.
like there with your gene keys, right? There's like the shadow version of it, which is when you're like out of alignment and when it's like negative. But then, like you're saying, like you can literally shift that into, okay, now how do I get to use this? And there's like this other side of the coin, which I just feel like is so beautiful because, like you're saying, like everything that we're going through is for a reason. And I feel like that's one of the messages that's been like coming through so deep for me and why I've been making such a huge pivot in my business is like
Mhm.
I'm truly seeing how my shadows are literally to be of service. Like I'm supposed to
Yeah.
learn these things and use these things and like in going back to like the human design, like I'm a 3 line, which is right. That's like you teach from your experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm like, I think I know, but this is why Ellisa is the Gene Keys reader, resident Gene Keys reader for my master or my mentorship and not me. But I've learned a lot from you. But it's like, yeah, in the 3 line, it's like I'm literally made to to teach from these experiences. And I think I lost that for so long, and now I'm like coming back home to like exactly like what am I meant to share? And usually it's from the things that I have actually experienced in my life that were once shadows or even seen as like weaknesses or things that you need to get rid of when it's not actually about getting rid of it. It's about, and I love the word that you use, is like alchemizing it, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, I love that. I wanted
Yeah.
people to know like what that means when you're saying that you're living in your shadow and then, you know, moving
Yes.
into your gifts, truly. So
Hmm.
when did you actually start moving into your gifts? Like when like you're
Yes.
getting out of this relationship, like when do you start, yeah, actually shifting things?
So for me, it really took me to completely move away, like from everything. So I moved away to finish college at a university in Bakersfield, which is this is also so divinely aligned because I did not apply there, Maddie. Like I don't even know what Bakersfield is. Why would I submit an application there, right?
Yeah.
But like through the tag program through California, like once you graduate from community college, you're eligible for like certain schools or whatever. So somehow I just got accepted there and I was like, oh, this is far away. I don't know anyone there. I'm just going to move there and
Yeah.
get away from everything here. Because I really felt like that was the only option I had. So I moved to Bakersfield to finish college. And at the time I was 25 and I felt like I was so old. At the time I was like, oh my God, like I'm so old. Like, I'm going to be such a loser. Like everyone here is like, younger and like this is so weird, which obviously 25 is not old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And um, so I knew that I didn't want to get a roommate because I didn't want to meet like weird people. When I Googled like, is Bakersfield a good place to live? It literally said, it's a good place to die. That's what the answer was. And
Oh
it was
my
like,
God.
yeah, so I was like, oh my God. And it was like the highest crime rate, horrible, like, air quality, whatever. So I was
You're
like, oh,
like
I'm gonna,
perfect.
yeah. I was like, I'm gonna live in the dorms just so I can like not meet weird people. And that's how I met my boyfriend now, George. He was actually the RA of the dorms on the first floor. And this really brings me into this idea too that like we do not have to be perfect or completely healed to meet the love of our lives. Like
Yeah.
you can meet them wherever you're at when you decide to open your heart and you're ready to step into your highest self, right? So I one day my friend from San Diego came to visit me and like we had gone out to the bars, like we were coming back to the dorms and like it was really late at night and we got like locked out. And so we were just sitting outside like waiting for someone to come and then George had just broken up with he was awake because he'd just broken up with his girlfriend because she like told him that she was going home to like visit her family for the weekend and then he saw on Snapchat that she was like at some party like twerking on someone. It's so funny to talk about this kind of stuff. I'm like, this is like not my life now, but
Yeah.
so
That
it was
is
so funny.
hilarious.
So he was like walking by and like opened the door for us, and like that's how I met him. And so yeah, we ended up hooking up and like kind of having
Hmm.
like a one night stand. And then he like late and I was like didn't really think anything of it. And then he later found me like and he's like, "Oh my God, I've been looking for you. Like, how are you? Like, can I get your number? Like, let's hang out." So then we kind of like started dating. But this is this part in my story where like I wasn't perfectly healed yet. I again had always used alcohol for every social interaction. So like he would call me to hang out and I would be like, "Oh my God, I need to like take shots in my room real quick, like to get the courage to like go see this boy," because like I was so
Yeah.
scared. And like it's funny because he doesn't drink. He's never drank because in his life he grew up in Eastern Los Angeles in Watts, and so his mother is like an immigrant and she's the only mother of like six siblings, and so he grew up like really struggling, right? And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like the choice there is like, you can go have fun and like ultimately join a gang or go to jail really or die. Like he literally talks about this. Or he decided to like stay in and just like have a really close relationship with his mom. And so I
Yeah.
call him like my Pisces king because he's just this like the sweetest, like big, like giant, gentle guy.
Yeah. And like I feel like for girls like us, 'cause I'm that way. Oh, I love, you know, you guys know me. Like I love to go have a drink. Henry does not drink at all. Like,
Really?
oh, he will not take a sip. And
Oh
like
my gosh.
that's like why, well, okay, that's not the only reason why I need him, but that's like a huge part of like our dynamic. I feel that he just like grounds me and just keeps me like I could never date someone that also like partied or like
Yes.
I just like don't think that would be good for me. And like, and he's a Cancer, which I feel like is like still like water sign man, where it's like they just are like become that rock for you. Also, this part of the story, okay, I was gonna record like a solo podcast about this, and I still maybe will. But something that I've been wanting to talk about, which is coming through so clearly in what you're sharing, which I fucking love, is showing a real relationship that is like so successful now and showing the ways in which like it started or things about it that I feel like a lot of people like sometimes it's untraditional or there's like expectations that people put on relationships of like why it's going to work or why it's not going to work. For example, like oh, I wouldn't like the person that I have a one night stand with would never be the person that I actually get into a relationship with. And it's like, no, literally look at this. Or I was going to share about my relationship where like I literally made the first move. And I have so many friends and so many clients, it makes me like frustrated that are like, oh, well, I would never make the first move. And like if I have to make the first move, then they're not the right one for me because like my dream man, the love of my life would make the first move. Like that's what they would do. And you like put these like expectations around relationships or I'm never going to find the love of my life if I'm not fully healed. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, like I wasn't fully healed. You weren't fully healed. I literally made the first move. He is the love of my life. You know, people say like, "Oh, if you like break up or something," because right, you guys also went through a breakup.
Yes.
Oh, if you break up, then like getting back together is like never gonna work. Like you broke up for a reason, and like if it's really the love of your life, then you're never gonna have any breakup or any issues. No, like me and Henry have broken up
Mhm.
multiple times. Relationships are complex. Relationships are not so cut and dry of like, oh, if it's the love of my life, he would never do this, or he would never be like this, or it has to be like this, or it has to be love at first sight, or I have to feel butterflies right away. I
Mhm.
didn't. But now, like,
Mhm.
I literally have a relationship that I hope people get to experience something like what I have and something like what you and George have. And I know that you feel similar about your relationship of just like how amazing and fulfilling it is. But people put all, and this is why I want to have like real and raw conversations about these types of things and why I wanted to talk about this is like, can we actually show people what it looks like to get into alignment? And sometimes that looks messy, and sometimes
Yes.
it looks different, and sometimes it doesn't look like how you thought it would look. And that's a part of the journey.
Mhm.
So I just like I love that because I've been dying to talk about like exactly this, and you're a perfect example.
I literally wrote that down, Maddie. It's so funny. I wrote down like the one point I wanted to make was like people end things too soon
Yeah.
or like stay too long, but they're not, they don't realize, and I don't want to say they, but it's like we don't realize that the relationship is like the spiritual training ground. It is in the relationship.
Yeah, or yeah, when people say like, "Oh, if I want to heal, I can't do that within a relationship." Right? It's like, "Oh, I need to work on myself." And I have to like that's why I'm breaking up with someone is because I have to work on myself. There's always nuance to it. That might be true. It might be true that you are like giving too much to this relationship or it's not the right one and so it's distracting you and maybe you do need some alone time. And I would say a lot of the time, it's exactly that. Like you actually heal within the relationship. And even if you heal outside of it, which I did after my first boyfriend, like my first love, like you're talking about, where I was absolutely batshit crazy. Like I was psychotic. It's embarrassing. You would not even recognize me. And then I healed and I'm like, I'm healed. Not fully, but whatever. I'm healed. Then I get into my relationship with Henry and these things start coming up again, the patterns and the triggers, because I wasn't actually triggered by those things when I wasn't in a relationship. And now that I am, like, I actually need him to be there in order for me to heal these parts that wouldn't come up otherwise. But again, people see something wrong about that. They
Mm-hmm.
see, like, oh, there's some turmoil. Oh, there's a struggle. Oh, this, and that. It must mean that I just need to leave. And that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
What did you call it? The spiritual training ground?
Yeah, I feel like it's like even like a spiritual classroom kind of.
Yeah.
I feel like what happens too is like because we are all so socialized and watching the same stuff, right? Like I love reality TV, I love Love is Blind, I love Love Island, I love all it's just fun to watch it, right? And like we're
Yeah.
all like, watching it. And we also see stuff on social media. And so I feel like people think that like that is what relationships are, and it's just like it is not what relationships are like they are hard, like it is hard, and I think people do leave things too soon because yeah, like they have these certain expectations of like, oh well, I saw like this girl like on TikTok like talks about this, so like it must mean like that's how a relationship is when like it's not.
Yeah. And that's like the thing that sprouted my idea of like wanting to talk about this was that about like needing a provider man and how like he needs to be like rich when you meet him and he needs to pay for everything and he needs to do these like grand gestures. And there's like a lot of like dating gurus out there who will implant these like standards for women of like this is what he needs to be like. But then they're turning away so many amazing men that might still be building, who might still be building their wealth or building themselves, building their business that you could literally build together. But because these gurus on social media tell you, like, no, this is what it needs to look like, and you need to have this standard, it's great to have standards. But I think people are having the wrong standards around
Mm-hmm.
things that don't actually matter. And they're looking at like their type on paper and if they have this style that they want them to have. And if, yeah, if they get those butterflies and like all these things, when it's like, what about the actual attributes of that person? Like, are they caring? Do they really care about you? Can they communicate? Do they, maybe they're still building, but do they have that drive? Do they have that vision? Like the attributes and having a standard for the attributes that you want someone to have, I feel is so much more important than some of these other things that people are putting like expectations that like don't actually like culminate into your dream person. It's like this idea of it instead of like what it actually is. And then I see so many women just like turn these amazing men away. And then they're like complaining about how they can't meet the love of their life. And I'm like, girl, I just feel like you have it all all wrong. But there's
Mm-hmm.
always nuance because like you said, there's also women who stay somewhere way too long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is a whole other conversation. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of brings us back to the conversation of like alignment and what is in alignment for you in your life is so specific to you.
Yes.
And that's where it can get dangerous. Me and Alyssa are both in the coaching industry. You know, a lot of people listening to this, you probably know about the coaching industry. And so we're very much people who consume other people's content about how to do things. And it's very educational content. This is how you should do this, and this is how you should do this. But it gets very dangerous because just because that's how someone else does it doesn't mean it's how you're meant to do it, which kind of
Mm-hmm.
brings us back to the gene keys, which if you get your gene keys read by Alyssa, your mind will be so fucking blown. Which tell them a little bit more like it's a culmination,
Mm-hmm.
right, of like human design and astrology and like other things. You give the description. But when I first got my Gene Keys read by Alyssa, like it was so mind-blowing to get this information and these like permission slips and clarity on how I'm meant to do things, whether it's in my relationships or in my business or just in my life, where you could never learn that from another guru because they are different from you. And people are listening too much to what other people are doing rather than learning how they're meant to do it, which is why I fucking love your work so much. Can you tell a
Mm-hmm.
little more about the Gene Keys of just like what it's a culmination of and some of the things that it can tell you? I don't know if you even remember some of mine as like an example of like,
Oh, girl, I brought your chart.
really?
Yeah.
Yay. Or maybe just like a couple examples of like, here's
Mhm.
something that you can learn through the Gene Keys that actually tells you. Like, I would love for you to share some examples, whether it's from your own or from me or whatever.
Yes, yes. So, okay, I totally agree. Everyone online is either telling you this is your path to success or follow my blueprint. This exact way is going to get you like this many followers, like this many $50,000 months. And like they found what works for them. And that's why it fucking worked for them, right?
Yeah.
And then all of us, a lot of us are investing in these things and then we're not seeing the same thing happen. And then we feel like a failure or we feel like, wait, does my work suck? Like, am I not meant to do this? And absolutely, like, if you have a soul calling to have a business and it is like your deepest desire to help people, 100% you're meant to do it. You're just not yet aligned to like how your soul wants to do it. So, and then the other advice is like, oh, well, just be yourself. And it's like, I hate that advice because it's like, okay, how do I be myself? Like, what does that mean? But the Gene Keys are literally a map of your hero's journey and it tells you exactly how to do it. So the Gene Keys are based off of Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, quantum physics, and epigenetics. And it really is this map that tells you exactly like how to find enlightenment through the self, through the four prime gifts, how to open your heart to love and relationships. So, what your patterns are. So, also as a business owner, that really helps to have like deep client, connections, even if it's not like a deep connection, because not everyone is meant to have like a super deep connection with their clients. you need to understand like how to work with people because that's where literally what business is founded on is people. And then the Pearl sequence teaches you how exactly to be of service with your unique gifts in exchange for those opportunities, prosperity, and money. And some of the really cool things that it tells you specifically for business is like it'll tell you like what your core talent is that you're here to give to other people. And in a second, Maddie, I just want to kind of like riff on yours because I feel like with this like awakening that you're having again of like coming back into alignment, it's just like so mind blowing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll tell you exactly like, okay, what is the gift that I'm really here to give to other people? And then we have to have the courage. This is where a lot of people get stuck. It's like, okay, I know that I'm meant to give this to other people. Now I have to have the courage that only comes from me, not from my coach, not from someone motivating me. I have to say, I want to walk on this path of it like initiation and now go give it to people. And then our culture sphere tells us, okay, how am I relating to people in community? Like, what is my place in community? How am I really meant to, down to the like size of like offer that feels like the most natural for you to facilitate? Not everyone is meant to do one to one, but then there's people that are like, oh, you can never scale a one to one business. Absolutely, you can. If you're meant to do one to one, you can be a millionaire, a multimillionaire by doing one to one, right?
Yeah.
And then that also teaches us like instead of like, okay, how am I blocking money? It's like, how am I just blocking people? Because every dollar in our bank account comes from a person. So we're not just like, oh God, like I'm not hitting that like monthly income I want. No, something that you're doing in your energetic field is repelling your people from noticing you, like recognizing, oh yeah, like that's my person. Like I want to learn from her. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and it comes from this place of like, we don't have to convince anyone or like over explain. And like this tells us exactly like how to do it for ourselves. And then
Love.
our brand teaches us like the core message. So a lot of people talk about like, yeah, like, oh, like content ideas or whatever. But if you know your like core message, your truth that you're really here to like give to the collective, it's like you're a puzzle piece of the entire globe and like of humanity and you're meant to bring this like one truth to humanity. So like when you know what that is, that kind of helps you have a through line. So I know like everyone always complains about like feeling like they're confusing, right? It's like, oh, I have all of these things I love and like I'm so multi-passionate, but like it's confusing. Like how do I like put it together? And like this is kind of like the through line. And
Hmm.
then it also teaches you your brand archetype. So some people, you know, are meant to, like for you example, Maddie, you're a line one here. And so this is like boldness. So that's why you do so well by like having really bold takes, by having these like bold, like beautiful photos of you, by, you know, like really empowering. It's like really rooted in self-empowerment. That gives other people permission to be like, wait, I can also, you know, feel hot and I can also like take up space. And like some people are meant to be, for example, a line five is very much this more like solutions giver. So they're really here to like give solutions to people. They're not going to be so much like um, deeply connecting or like sharing more of their personal life. It's more of like, this is your exact problem. I'm going to give it to you. And so if someone is out of alignment and they feel like, oh, I'm kind of scared to like, you know, just tell people how it is, then they're going to be not fully aligned with like what people need from them, which is again blocking money. Where a line four is a feeler and they're really here to deliver their core truth through like feelings in the heart. And so if we have a line four babe who's really here to have these like deep connections and care about people, but they're over here copying their coach of like, I'm a solution giver. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is, blah, blah, blah. And like, they're very direct and they're like penetrating people with their energy, but they're
Yeah.
meant to be more soft and just, you know, then again, misalignment.
Yeah. And like this is just so crazy because like that's exactly kind of what I went through where it's like, in the pursuit of growing your business, you're going to want to learn from mentors and you're going to want to learn from people who have the success that you want. And so like and that's just natural, right? You just have to be very discerning, right? It's not that you shouldn't learn from anyone ever, but you have to be very discerning and hopefully get a Gene Keys reading from Alyssa so you actually know your alignment. So even if you do learn from someone, you can take the pieces you need and leave the ones you don't. But I feel like this is exactly what I went through where I've had multiple times where there was a time in my business that I thought I needed to be more soft because I was working with a lot of people who did like somatics work and parts work, and they would take me into meditations on our calls, and I was doing like breath work. And so I was like, oh, that's what I need to do in my business. And so I took like a breath work certification and I was like doing all these things, like taking my clients through meditations. And I like recording meditations for my clients, but like I was almost like coaching differently when really like my power as a coach, and you know this from being in my spaces, like it is about giving you the harsh truth. It is about being bold. It is about like telling you what the fuck is up, not leading you through like a somatic practice. That's not bashing on somatic practices. If you need that, go work with someone where that is their lane. But I was trying to step into a different lane when I had to just learn to own no, like I'm literally meant to be here and just like be bold and literally people just being in my energy shifts something, right? But
Mhm.
then fast forward and I'm, again in this place where I'm like, okay, I want to grow my business. Like I want to do things differently. And there's a lot of narrative and conversation around like, yeah, things need to be very like tangible and you need to have this like solution based, offer and it needs to be very like have like a formula and have like just like this very like specific kind of thing. But I am just like a channel for codes. Like if you told me like what is in your program? Oh, I have this like formula that you do this, this, and this, and then it gets you to this result. It's like, no, you literally sit in my presence and it changes the way that you show up, the way that you think about yourself. It changes your energy just from seeing me in my boldness and in my standards. And I think that's really what happened with like business is like feeling this pressure to market in a certain way and like have this very like solution based type of like offers and marketing. And I can't tell you how out of alignment it felt, but for me, it felt like that's what I need to do in order to grow my business. And that's why I'm so grateful for this wisdom to come back to. And sometimes you're going to forget and you have to remember all over again. But to remember, like, no, this is actually how people are impacted by me. And when I share more just like personal branding content, that's just like me sharing who I am, or even talking about like psychedelic trips or festivals that I've gone to,
Mhm.
that signs more clients for me than me sitting here and saying, here's a 3-step process to get to 10K months. But I let
Mhm.
go of that piece of myself a little bit because you feel like it's wrong or not enough because you see other people doing something different. But
Mhm.
when I step into my lane of exactly what you're saying, which you guys, that's the best part about this, like literally get a reading because you don't have to sit there and guess and wonder what it is. It's already written. Like show
Mhm.
them the
Yeah.
chart again. Like it is that's me. Like, oh, I love all the like
Just
notes and
Maddie.
that's me. Like it's
Yes.
already written. Alyssa can just literally tell you. I'm actually curious, like in that specific one, like what's
Yes.
yours?
Okay, so in like the one I just talked about,
Yeah.
so for me, I'm aligned to passion. So I am really meant to be like passionate about what I do, like obsessed, excited, and like that's how people feel like when we're together, I'm working with them. They're like, "Oh, this feels so fun." It's not like it's like a textbook and I'm just like regurgitating like AI shit that I like Googled and I'm like, "You are this." It's like, "No, I'm obsessed with like looking at the patterns and figuring like, "Oh my God, bitch, like this is so you." Like it just yeah, it's so fun
And
for
that's
me.
literally you. You live in that so well.
Yeah. And then I also want to tell you too, one of the really cool things about okay, so remember how you had this like awakening that you're coming back to like confidence, right? And
Hmm.
like this like confidence coach. And I don't know if it was on a podcast or if it was one of your in one of your trainings. If you're not in Obsessed, the membership, oh my God, you have to be in there. Like I live for when you drop your channeled messages. Like I'll just be driving or like on a hot girl shit. I'm like, oh my God, a new one came through. Like let me hear it. And it every time I'm just like, this is exactly what I need to hear. Also, I always tell Maddie this, but she's so just like naturally aligned, like duh, like with the current gene keys and kind of like the energies that are transiting. Like she'll drop something and I'm like, oh my God, like she's so tapped into like the collective gift and like genius right now. It's just like really
It's
cool.
so crazy. It blows my mind. Like, yeah,
Yes.
recently I did a training and you sent me like what Jinky we were like transiting and I was like, "Oh my God." Like, yeah, yeah, I love the Jinkies.
Yeah.
I love it.
I wanted to, yeah, so like, I don't know if it was what it was in that you were saying, but remember you're like, oh, I feel like I'm literally high. Like, you're like, I feel like ecstasy and like, what was the other word you used? Like euphoric of
Euphoria,
like coming
yeah.
back to yourself. So your vocation, the gift and city is delight and ecstasy. It's literally ecstasy of like
Mm,
coming back to yourself. And you have Gene Key 46, and it's to love the self to the depths of its core. So it's all about self-love and like it's in the G center, so it's all about like direction, self-love, identity, and like literally
wow.
identity, which is like
Wow.
yeah. And I saw that and I was like, "Oh my God." And the shadow is seriousness. And so obviously seriousness is when you're trying to be like, okay, I need to be more businessy, or I need to do things like everyone else. And that's what gets you out of alignment. But then when you tap back into like self-love, like confidence, identity,
Yeah.
like it's very like body based. And it also empowers other people to like love themselves. The other craziest thing too was that um this is kind of off topic, but not really. You're a line four, which is sales. And I think it's so crazy because you're literally here to, um, like, a salesperson is about like including others and allowing themselves to like open up their hearts. And a huge part of this is like navigating rejection. And I think it's so funny that like you're so good at sales calls because it's like
Hmm.
connecting with people and like it's not this like creepy. A lot of people are adverse to like sales calls because they think it's this creepy like, oh, I'm convincing someone to buy my product. And you're like, I'm genuinely serving this person with such an open heart. I want to see like, can I help you? Can do I have something that's going to change your life? And like that's literally you.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that one, that it
Yeah.
literally says that because like I love sales calls and that's like part of the thing that like I feel like I let go of for so long because again, just like narratives around like, sales calls and whatever the fuck. And I'm like, I love them. Like I genuinely get so excited for sales calls. I have so much fun. I get off of them. I feel so lit up. And it's exactly what you're saying. That's crazy that that's in my
Yeah,
chart.
it literally says sales, like literally sales connection in parentheses. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Every time I'm just like my mind's blown. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. That's amazing. I fucking love that.
Mm-hmm.
So, can people also use the gene keys if they're not in business? And what does that look like for them? Because I know you also do a lot of like relationship gene keys. And like,
Mm-hmm.
does it actually, like, what does that look like? Because I haven't actually had a specific like relationship based reading from you. And I'm also
Mm-hmm.
curious, like, what other ways can we use the gene keys or wisdom that you have in general that maybe has come from the gene keys that tells you more about relationships and how people are, like, are there different ways that people are meant to experience relationships?
Yes, like it goes so crazy, like so deep. So the Venus sequence is all about the heart, right? And like opening the heart back open to love and relationships. And a lot of people like not even just entrepreneurs, but a lot of people in life, right? Like you said, go on this self-development journey and then find themselves isolated, right? But we can't just stay isolated. Like in order to continue growing and evolving as humans, we all like desire to be in love and to like have like loving relationships. And so the Venus sequence really teaches you very specifically like your patterns. So like from 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21. And it teaches you your mental, emotional, and spiritual like shadows and gifts. And so what this means, for example, is like, I'll give you an example of mine. There's also an attraction sphere. So like when we're attracting people, right, into our life, from the shadow, mine is Jinky 37, the shadow of weakness, which is really about like gender roles, and it's almost like putting other people on a pedestal. So it's like if I look back to my ex like horrible relationship, it's like I was not treated as an equal in that relationship, right? It's like
Mhm.
that person disrespected me, but I also was disrespecting myself because a lot of this is like all of it is really like self accountability and like how can
Yeah.
I really take accountability for my actions and like my beliefs and my behaviors. So now the gift of this is equality. And so of course George is like the most like embodiment of equality in a partner. Like he
Mm.
like makes dinner for us. Like I know too, like
Yeah.
it's with you, right? A lot
Yeah.
of times. Yeah, so like he'll like make dinner for us or like he like wants to ask about my day. He deeply cares about me. Like so many of these qualities that I never had in another relationship. And it's because I kept attracting people from my shadow. So it's almost like shows you how like and this isn't to blame ourselves, but it is to take deep accountability. Like I'm attracting this into my life. And so if I can kind of
Yeah.
shift into this and alchemize this, now I can kind of attract the people that are meant to help me like live my dharma instead of create drama.
Love
And
that.
yeah. And
Mm.
so your gene keys will tell you what that is. There's this other really cool thing called the Eden loop. And so all of us have a specific like mental shadow, like the way that it's going to show up and the specific way that our emotional shadow is going to show up. And they basically like trigger off of each other. So like if I say something like mean, for example, to George, and it hurts his feelings. And he's triggered. His emotional shadow that's like written in the gene keys is going to be triggered. He's going to respond, which is now going to trigger my emotional shadow. And so it kind of creates this like dynamic of like that's where you get stuck in like an argument or like
Yeah.
triggering each other. But it only takes one person to pause instead of that like normal reaction. If I'm pausing, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna choose different words. I'm gonna use a different tone of voice. I'm not just gonna be that like, my direct like pattern. And then we respond differently. And it literally, like, I'm not even joking, it's so mystical, but also like not. It literally changes the way that that person is like receiving this information from you. And now they're responding in a loving way.
Yeah. Do you feel like you went through that with George where you actually were like looking at his gene keys and were like, okay, what does he get triggered by? And like,
Okay, so I don't have his like exact birth information. He's not spiritual at all, but
yeah.
he does let me like sometimes look into things, but I don't have his like very exact birth information. So I haven't been able to look like at his exact chart, but I can see mine and like I know, girl,
And
like
so
when I
you
get
know.
triggered. Yeah, so I'm
And
like,
like
okay,
you
this
said, it
is
only takes one person. So
yes. Yes.
I love that. It would be fun. Like, have you ever thought about doing Gene Keys readings for couples where you look at both? Because that could be so cool.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that would be so cool. And there's this thing too in human design where you can put two called like compatibility charts, where you put two charts together to kind of see where there might be some stickiness or like, to work on. But yeah, that would be really fun. I do that for private clients in the portal of you because so it started really as like business. Obviously, like I'm helping entrepreneurs, but every single one also has relationship stuff, obviously. So I've also
Yeah.
included the Venus sequence in there. And so, like, I'll look at my clients, like boyfriends or like husbands' charts, and we'll like see the difference. And then it
Yeah.
helps them be able to like relate to them differently and
Yeah.
understand them more.
No, I love that. I literally found a website where you can get like the birth certificate of someone that doesn't have theirs because I also don't have Henry's like full information in his time. And like I asked his mom and she's like, oh, around this time. I'm like, no, I'm one of
Yeah.
those crazy girls. I'm like, I need the time. So I honestly forgot about it. I need to do it, but I found a website where you can like get the birth certificate because like
Oh my God.
I would love to see that. But okay, even outside of like the gene keys, outside of human design, outside of all these like helpful tools, which again, if you're listening, if you feel the pull, like it'll blow your fucking mind. But I also just want to hear from you,
Hmm.
from Ellisa, like some wisdom around like your secrets behind a deeply fulfilling life, right? I feel
Hmm.
like I said this at the very beginning. I just feel like you're such a positive person in the way that you experience life and your relationship and just get so lit up by like it feels like the little things.
Hmm.
And I coach so many people and I hear so many people just relate to certain experiences in a completely different way than you do. And so I guess my question is like how are you so fucking happy and fulfilled? Right? Outside of the gene keys, like genuinely,
Yeah.
what do you do every day or what do you think made your mindset the way that it is that you have this business, you have a job that you love, you have a relationship that you love, you live where you love.
Hmm.
Is there a secret?
Yes. Okay, so I genuinely feel like radical like accountability and just like responsibility for ourselves. Like I lived so many years of my life in victimhood, right? Of feeling like everything's happening to me and like just realizing like why is this happening to me? Like why is this happening to me? Why am I in this situation? When I realize now that if I'm in a situation that like I don't like, now I really look at it like what am I doing? Like how am I contributing to this? Even if it's like a difficult, coworker, right? It's like, okay, really taking a step back and looking at like, what am I doing to also contribute to this and almost like live life through the lens of like just like deeply empathic of like other people and like really
Hmm.
understanding them, right? Instead of it's so easy to like jump to conclusions or to like blame other people. And I feel like when we do that, it just keeps us stuck in misery. It's like if you are genuinely so unhappy in your job, like look for a different job. I'm not a proponent of like taking the leap and like really hurting your nervous system while you're like looking for something else, but I would genuinely create an exit plan. That's what I did. I was
Yeah.
so unhappy in the same company, but I just needed to find my role in alignment of like, wait, what do I actually do like want to do where I can just feel good. The other thing is too is like finding things that you're deeply like obsessed with and passionate about. And like I like listen to podcasts that I love. I am doing like work that I love to do, right? If I was only at my corporate job, I would literally hate myself. Like it would be
Yeah.
not to say that corporate is bad, but it's just I feel so fueled by all these other parts of my life.
Yeah. And like that's the thing about Alyssa is like she like works this full-time job and will come home, work on her business and be so excited to work on it. Where I have other people where it's like, oh, I worked today, so that's the reason I can't work on my business. And it's like, I feel like there's something disconnected there because if it really fuels you and you're really obsessed with it and you're really passionate about it, you should want to come home and work on it. And it doesn't feel like nothing feels like a chore to you. Nothing feels like, oh, I
Hmm.
have to get this done. Like you are truly just like so obsessed with what you're doing that it gives you energy. And like I think that's what's so beautiful about it. And like I was thinking about this today where I'm just like, I genuinely don't want to do anything I don't want to do.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that I don't do uncomfortable things, but I don't do anything that I don't want to do. And I feel like that aligns with what you were first saying, where it's like if you don't like something, change it. Take responsibility and change it. Even if it's, yeah, you're in a company and like you just change the role or you just change where, like, it doesn't even have to be this big move or, like you said, like hurting your nervous system to the point where you're like radically just like dropping things anytime it's unaligned. It's getting curious about, like, okay, something feels misaligned here. Like, what can I do to make it a little bit better? And I think that's why I've always felt so aligned with like you and the way you live is because that's how I always was. Like, how I, yeah, always was. I don't know why that didn't sound like English, proper English. Um, but even if it was like simple little things, like when I worked at In and Out and I'm like, oh, this sucks and like I hate it and da da da, I'd be like, how can I just make it a little more fun today? And I would like make up little games with myself of like how fast I could do something, or I would like get new makeup or a new lip gloss that I could wear. And like I was just always like, instead of just being like, oh, this is miserable, I don't like this, it wasn't even always changing the job or changing where I lived. It was like, how can I make this just a little more fun or a little more pretty or a little more, yeah,
Mhm.
how can I get into a conversation? Oh, I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely. Okay, how, like, take responsibility, like you're saying. I love that. It's like, how can I get into connection today? Is there a friend I haven't talked to for forever that I can call? Like, you can fix it. If you're
Mhm.
lonely, go out and get connection. If you don't like your job, change something about it. If you don't like
Mhm.
where you live and say you can't, it's like if you don't like it, what is it? Like if you don't like it, change it. And if you can't change it, wait, what's the quote? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
If you don't like it, change it. And if you can't change it, oh, it's if you don't like it, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude.
Oh, I like that.
Right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
but even still, it's like, even if you can't change exactly where you live, could you go thrift some new artwork for where you do live? And like, I was always just trying to make where I was better, even if I couldn't completely change it. But I think so many people get so stuck in like, I don't like where I'm at.
Mhm.
And then they think that to like where they're at, they have to make some huge, radical,
Mhm.
grandiose change instead of just getting really intimate with what's going on in your life. And like you said, that responsibility of like, what can I do?
Mhm. And I think also I really resonate with your work because you talk a lot about like the obsession compass.
Hmm.
And I remember like you did, yeah, you asked us something in something about like, oh, how are you gonna follow this compass? And it made me realize I fucking follow that shit every day, and that's why I
Yeah.
am so happy. Like if I want to like I don't just like drive in my car. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put on like the music I want to hear or like the podcast, right? It's like you said, you're like, oh, where do you like, just settle and like order like how the food comes or like where can you customize it? I was like, bitch, I customize everything. I'm like the food I customize, the drinks I customize, like everything is
Yeah.
complicated and like I don't feel it's almost this level of like selfishness of like I'm going to do what I want, what I love to do, and not feeling like, oh, like, what are they going to think about it? Or like, is that annoying? Like, I even have like a pink walking pad in my office. And like so many people like make comments about it or like not like weird comments, but they're like, oh, like that's so smart. And I tell people and they're like, oh, I work in an office. I couldn't have a walking pad. It's like, literally you could just tell your boss like, hey, is it okay if I put a walking pad? I'm gonna get some steps in. And they would probably be like, yeah, like that's actually smart. It's like, it's just kind of like, yeah, like following what excites you and like completely living for yourself and like not the external.
Yeah, I fucking love that. I love that so
Mhm.
much. I think that so many people are living in this like victimhood, which by the way, also this feels even more fitting now for your podcast name. Alyssa also has a podcast that I
Mhm.
will hopefully be on soon as well. So we're gonna do a little swappy swap.
Mhm.
But it's called It's Happening For Me. And like I
Mhm.
feel like it's so fitting for everything that you're sharing right now because yeah, people are living in this like it's happening to me. And what's dangerous is that no one identifies with being a victim, right? No one says to themselves, I'm being a victim, especially people who have been in the spiritual world and who have been on like a healing journey. Being a victim feels so like low level, or that's people who are truly miserable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's so many people, and again, this like circles back even to like the whole alcohol conversation where like you don't identify with being an alcoholic, so you don't see the ways it's actually an issue. It's like you don't identify with being a victim, so you don't actually see the ways in which you're being a victim, which is
Mm-hmm.
so fascinating because I've even had things like that even with my whole business shift. I identify with being truly authentic,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't see the ways in which little ways I was being inauthentic because I couldn't even see them because I didn't identify with that. And so
Mm-hmm.
it becomes like very dangerous the ways in which they don't realize they are being a victim of their circumstances because, oh, I could never be a victim. I'm not a victim. I'm very optimistic. I'm very positive. But how many ways are you actually being upset about something or sad or not liking something and not taking that radical responsibility, like
Mm-hmm.
you're saying? I
Exactly,
love.
because it just takes us to, yeah, it just takes us to first like recognize, and I think it comes back to too like the radical responsibility of like, oh, it's not them, it's not the person, it's not the boss, it's not the job, it's not the friend. It's like of course there are situations where yes, it is, but also it's like, okay, well, what can I do to change it if I don't like
Yeah.
it anymore? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And hold that standard that like you are the creator of your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like it, change it. If you can't change it, change. I'm going to not say change your attitude. I'm going to say change something about it. If you
Yeah.
can't fully change it, change something about it. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have autonomy, but sometimes
Yes.
that's hard to um I think the deeper layer beneath that of why people don't truly do this is if they actually take accountability and they actually do see that there's something they can do, then they actually have to do it. So it
Mm-hmm.
feels much better to be in the victim and feel like it's happening to you than realize you can do something about it. But then guess what? You have to actually do it.
Mm-hmm. Which takes courage, which is like
Which,
the number one thing that we could all use more of.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Exactly. Oh my God. I love this so much. I have fucking loved this. This has been an amazing conversation. Is there anything you feel like we didn't hit on or something that's coming through you that you're like, I have to get this off my chest before we wrap things up?
I don't think so. This was so special, just so cool to share a little bit more about my journey. And I just want everyone to walk away knowing that, yeah, like your life is literally your life. Like you have a purpose. Whether that is a business or whether it's working a 9 to 5, working a service industry job, like you have a purpose. Like our purpose isn't just like what we do or how we make money. It's like how you really like, yeah, shine your light in the world, and
Yeah.
everyone deserves to have love. And yeah, we can literally create the life that we want.
Yeah. And you literally have the path to it.
Yes.
It's already there. You
Yes.
just need to connect with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I need a new reading. Like I feel like I need we'll talk about this after. Like
Yeah.
I need more. I need because it there's layers and layers and layers to this shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's I'm sure you even know just from like studying this work just how deep it can go and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm just always wanting to connect deeper and learn more. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, I love this. I love you. And can you tell everyone where we mentioned a couple ways that people can find you, but can you share, yeah, again, your podcast, your Instagram, and how people can learn about their gene keys with you?
Yes. Yes. So my Instagram is I am Ellisa Mae, so you can reach out there. In the link in bio, I have all of the readings, and my podcast is called It's Happening For Me podcast, which I'm obsessed with. I am bringing it back to like the next season, so I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have Maddie on it and just really iconic guests. And yeah, I would love to connect with you guys. So follow me on Instagram, and I'd love to say hello to you.
Yay. Yeah, Alyssa is the best. She's just the best. I love everything she does. So, thank you so much. I'm honored to have you here and have you as a friend and walk this journey together. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Love you.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.